The chosen ones, when the investigator encountered the divine within you. Hear this, chosen ones, the private investigator thought they were on the trail of a trivial mystery. They expected to unearth flaws, to piece together a narrative of weakness. But what they found instead cracked the very foundation of their reality for your spiritual essence, isn't a puzzle to be solved, but a radiance that dismantles doubt. Their mission was simple: dig for dirt, report your vulnerabilities. Yet the deeper they delved, the more their task dissolved. They didn't find skeletons in closets, they uncovered layers of transcendence, truths that defied logic, resilience that defied circumstance. Your life isn't a collection of events, it's a divine blueprint, woven with threads of wisdom and an unshakable authenticity. The energy they sought to weaponize overwhelmed them instead, turning their mission into a futile chase. They were hired by those who once orbited your light but couldn't bear its gravity. Jealousy, when faced with unreplicable power, twists into insecurity. These seekers weren't after truth, they craved justification for their resentment. But how do you weaponize a spirit that disarms every intent to diminish it? Their reports lay empty of accusations, their words failing to capture the divine evidence that surrounded you. Here is the irony that shook them: the trail of their investigation led back to the ones who hired them. It wasn't your life marred by darkness, but theirs. The investigator, bound by duty, uncovered lies and schemes that had nothing to do with you and everything to do with the guilty hands pulling the strings. They underestimated the immutable truth: your existence is not theirs to dismantle. Every attack meant to harm you became a revelation of your strength. Their schemes, born of envy, collided with divine intervention. As they tried to expose you, they exposed their own inadequacies. The Psalms speak of this protection: he will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. Psalm 91 verse 4. This isn't metaphor, it's the reality that turned their every plot into a shield. Your resilience isn't accidental. It's forged in a power beyond the physical, a force that turns storms into stepping stones. The investigator, once certain of their task, became a witness to something beyond comprehension. They didn't just investigate you, they encountered a truth that humbled them. Your life is a mirror reflecting back the divine, while their own flaws stood naked in its light. Through history, greatness has always been veiled until its appointed moment. Like Moses in Pharaoh's court or Arthur pulling the sword from the stone, your gifts were hidden not out of weakness, but as a divine strategy. The world wasn't ready for your light until the moment it could no longer be denied. This is your reminder: you are not bound by the limitations others project. Your presence alone disrupts mediocrity, challenges fear-driven narratives. You don't need to prove yourself, the evidence lies in how your energy shifts those around you. Even skeptics leave changed, unwitting witnesses to the divine in you. Own this truth unapologetically. Your story isn't just yours, it's a catalyst for others to awaken. Speak your truth, let your light ripple outward. For those sent to dim your flame, they only serve to reveal how unshakable you are, for no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every attempt to undermine you only proves the eternity that shields you. Are you ready to proceed to the next phase of refining this narrative? The chosen ones, when divine light shatters human schemes. The investigator's unexpected revelation. The private investigator arrived with a clipboard and a mindset: your life was a case file, a puzzle of flaws waiting to be solved. They thought they'd unearth mistakes, compile weaknesses, yet the deeper they dug, the more their tools of skepticism crumbled. Your spiritual essence isn't a riddle, it's a bonfire of divine energy that incinerates doubt. Their assignment was mundane on paper: uncover vulnerabilities. But beneath the surface, your existence defied their narrative. They didn't find brokenness, they found layers of resilience that echoed eternity. Your choices weren't random, they were threads of a tapestry woven with wisdom beyond human comprehension. The very energy they tried to quantify overwhelmed them, like trying to measure the sun with a teaspoon. The jealousy behind the investigation. Those who hired them once walked in your orbit, but your growth's gravity became too heavy. Jealousy, when faced with unmatchable power, mutates into a hunt for justification. They weren't seeking truth, they craved ammunition for their resentment. But how do you weaponize a spirit that turns every attack into a revelation? Their reports came back blank, their accusations evaporating in the light of your authenticity. Here is the paradox that shook their core: the investigation's trail looped back to the hirelings. It wasn't your life stained by shadows, but theirs. The investigator, dutifully sifting through your past, unearthed plots and lies that had nothing to do with you, only with the guilty hands that pulled their strings. They forgot one truth: divinely guided lives cannot be dismantled by human schemes. Divine protection in the midst of chaos. Every plan to harm you became a stage for your vindication. Their envy-fueled plots collided with a higher order, as if each attack was a brushstroke revealing your resilience. Psalm 91 verse 4 whispers this reality: He will cover you with His feathers, and you've lived this promise. When betrayal whispered, when vulnerability loomed, you weren't alone. Those meant to harm you found their weapons turned against themselves. The investigator's journey wasn't a failure, it was a conversion. They began as skeptics and ended as witnesses, forced to confront the divine in you. Your life wasn't a problem to solve, it was a mirror showing their own spiritual poverty. Each flaw they sought became a testament to your unbreakable connection to the eternal. Legends in the making, your divine blueprint. Through the ages, greatness hides in plain sight until its moment arrives. Moses in Egypt, Arthur as a commoner, their divinity was veiled, not absent. So too with you, your gifts weren't hidden from the world, but preserved for a time when the world could bear them. The investigator's failure wasn't in their methods, it was in their inability to see that your life is a divine strategy, not a human accident. This is your truth: you aren't defined by others' doubts. Your presence disrupts mediocrity, your purpose challenges fear. You don't need to prove your worth, your very existence is proof of a power beyond comprehension. Even those who came to discredit you leave changed, touched by a light they can't explain but can't deny. Awaken to your unshakable truth. Own your story without apology. Your voice isn't just self-expression, it's a clarion call for others to awaken. When you walk in your purpose, you transform spaces, heal wounds, and reveal truths. The world doesn't need you to shrink, it needs you to radiate, for in your light, others see the possibility of their own divinity. The investigator left in silence, their certainty shattered. They thought they were hunting flaws, but they found God in you. And that is the power of the chosen, to be living proof that no human scheme can dim a divinely lit soul. So stand tall, chosen one, your existence is the answer to every doubt, the remedy for every fear, and the living embodiment of a truth that shakes the world. Shall we explore how to weave additional theological threads into this narrative, or refine specific sections for deeper resonance? The chosen ones, when human inquiry meets divine design. The investigator's spiritual unraveling. The private eye arrived with a mandate: dissect your life, extract weaknesses, and package them into a report. They thought they were navigating a mundane labyrinth of human frailty, but your existence was a sacred text written in spiritual hieroglyphs. With each document they scanned, each witness they interviewed, their secular framework cracked for your life isn't a collection of errors, but a constellation of divine appointments. Their tools of skepticism, logic, cynicism, and a clipboard proved useless against the aura of protection surrounding you. They expected to find brokenness in your past, but unearthed layers of transcendence, moments when you rose from ashes not through willpower, but through a current of grace. Your resilience wasn't a survival mechanism, it was a testimony to a power that turns tragedy into triumph. As they jotted notes, they unknowingly transcribed a hymn to your divine essence. The envious architects of investigation. Those who hired them once shared your path, but your growth outpaced their capacity to endure it. Jealousy, when faced with uncreated power, becomes a desperate search for validation. They didn't want truth, they wanted permission to resent your light. Yet your spirit is a mirror that reflects back the darkness in others while remaining untainted. Their attempts to weaponize your story failed. How do you weaponize a sunrise? Their report lay empty, their accusations dissolving like sugar in water. The irony struck like lightning: the investigation meant to destroy you became a probe into their own souls. The investigator, chasing shadows, stumbled onto a trail of lies, betrayals, and schemes that led straight back to the hirelings. It wasn't your life marred by sin, but theirs. They thought they were hiring a detective, they actually summoned a prophet, exposing their hidden iniquities. Divine strategy in the midst of opposition. Every plot against you became a canvas for divine artistry. Their envy-fueled schemes collided with an unseen hand, turning each attack into a stepping stone. Psalm 121 verse 7 declares, "The Lord will keep you from all harm," and you've lived this promise in tangible ways. When enemies aimed to wound, their arrows fell short. When they sought to shame, you emerged vindicated. The investigator, meant to be your accuser, became your unwitting witness. They watched as your challenges didn't break you but refined you, as your losses became portals to greater gains. Your life wasn't a series of coincidences, it was a symphony conducted by a higher hand. The investigator's skepticism crumbled before the evidence. Your ability to love when hated, to forgive when betrayed, to rise when crushed, this wasn't human strength, but divine indwelling. The hidden greatness of chosen lives. Through history, the divine conceals its chosen ones in plain sight. Moses in Pharaoh's palace, Esther in the king's harem, Jesus in a carpenter's shop, their divinity was veiled, not absent. So too with you, your gifts were wrapped in ordinary days until the appointed hour. The investigator's failure wasn't in their technique, but in their inability to see that your flaws were actually sacred scars, your weaknesses portals to power. You aren't bound by the limitations others impose. Your existence is a disruption to the mundane, a challenge to fear-based narratives. When skeptics try to define you, they only reveal their own blindness, for your spirit dwells in a realm where human judgment holds no weight. Even those who come to discredit you leave transformed, touched by a presence they can't explain. Embracing your divine birthright. This is your moment to claim your truth. You are not an accident, but an appointment. Your voice carries authority, your touch heals, your presence shifts atmospheres. When you walk unapologetically in your purpose, you don't just live, you become a conduit for the divine. The world doesn't need you to shrink, it needs you to shine, for in your light, others remember their own divinity. The investigator left with empty hands but a shaken soul. They thought they were solving a case, but they encountered a mystery beyond human understanding. Your life isn't a problem to be solved, it's a revelation to be received. So stand firm, chosen one, your existence is proof that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every scheme meant to destroy you will only reveal the eternity that sustains you. Shall we deepen the theological metaphors in this narrative, or explore how to integrate specific meditative practices into the framework? The chosen ones, when mortal eyes gaze upon the divine flame. The investigator's spiritual collision. The private investigator stepped into your story armed with skepticism, a toolbelt of doubt, a notebook for flaws. They assumed your life was a puzzle of human error, a roadmap to weakness. But the deeper they trekked into your history, the more their worldly compass spun wildly, for your existence is a constellation of divine intersections, each moment a brushstroke of eternity on the canvas of time. Their mission: unearth dirt, document fragility. Yet every flaw they sought became a portal to your resilience. They didn't find broken dreams, they uncovered dreams resurrected by forces beyond logic. Your failures weren't but stepping stones to higher purpose. The energy they tried to quantify, your unshakable peace in chaos, your courage in fear, was like trying to bottle lightning, or inspiring, untamable, and utterly divine. The envious web of investigation. Those who hired them once warmed themselves by your light, but when you outgrew their expectations, jealousy became a poison. They craved not truth, but ammunition, proof that your radiance was merely a trick of the light. Yet your spirit is a mirror that reflects back the darkness in others while remaining unblemished. Their attempts to weaponize your story were like throwing shadows at the sun, futile, and only highlighting their own blindness. The greatest irony. The investigator's trail led not to your secrets, but to theirs. They unearthed lies by the hirelings, schemes meant to destroy you that reeked of their own guilt. It wasn't your life stained by sin, but theirs. The detective, hired to be your judge, became the unwitting jury at their own trial. Divine orchestration in the midst of chaos. Every plot against you was rewritten by a higher hand. Their plans to bury you became foundations for your elevation, their attempts to dim your light only made it shine brighter. Psalm 91 verse 11 echoes through your story, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. You felt this protection not as a shield from storms, but as strength to walk through them unconsumed. The investigator watched, stunned, as your losses became gains, your pain became wisdom. Your life wasn't a series of mishaps, but a sacred journey guided by invisible hands. They saw you forgive those who wronged you, love those who hated you, rise when the world expected you to fall, and realize this wasn't human fortitude, but divine indwelling. The hidden divinity of chosen souls. Throughout time, the divine conceals its champions in ordinary packaging. Joseph in the pit, David as a shepherd, Mary as a village maiden, their greatness was veiled until the appointed hour. So too with you, your gifts were wrapped in mundane moments, your purpose hidden in ordinary choices, until the world was ready to receive them. The investigator couldn't see your divinity because they were looking for flaws. You are not bound by human limitations. Your existence is a rebellion against mediocrity, a declaration that the divine dwells in flesh. When others try to define you by their fears, they only reveal their own smallness, for your spirit resides in a realm where doubt cannot enter. Even skeptics who come to discredit you leave as believers, touched by a presence that defies explanation. Claiming your sacred birthright. This is your call to awaken. You are not a mistake, but a masterpiece. Your voice carries the authority of heaven, your presence shifts the atmosphere, your very being is a testament to the divine. When you walk in your purpose unapologetically, you become a bridge between the seen and the unseen, a channel for grace. The world doesn't need you to conform, it needs you to transform. The investigator left with a shattered worldview, their skepticism replaced by awe. They thought they were solving a case, but they encountered a miracle. Your life isn't a problem to be fixed, it's a mystery to be revered. So stand tall, chosen one. Your existence proves that no power on earth can overcome the divine within you, and every attempt to dim your light only reveals it as eternal. Shall we integrate meditative practices that align with this narrative, or explore deeper theological concepts like divine appointment and spiritual armor? The chosen ones, when human scrutiny meets divine alchemy. The investigator's profound unveiling. The private investigator approached your story with a lens of cynicism, expecting to find a tapestry of human failings. They held a pen to annotate flaws, a notebook to chronicle weaknesses, but the more they traced your path, the more their tools of doubt dissolved. Your life is not a ledger of errors but a symphony of divine interventions, each challenge a note in a melody that defies mortal comprehension. Their mandate was clear: uncover vulnerabilities. Yet beneath the surface, they discovered layers of resilience that echoed eternity. They didn't find brokenness in your past, they unearthed moments when you rose from ashes, not by might, but by a current of grace that surged through your veins. Your choices weren't accidental, they were breadcrumbs leading to a truth they couldn't fathom. Your existence is an intricate design, woven by hands more ancient than time. The envious architects of doubt. Those who hired them once thrived in your orbit, but when your light outshone their expectations, jealousy became a weapon. They sought not truth, but validation for their resentment, proof that your radiance was a fleeting illusion. Yet your spirit is a mirror that reflects back the shadows in others while remaining untainted. Their attempts to weaponize your story were like hurling stones at a mountain, the impact only revealed their own fragility, while you stood unshaken. The cruel irony unfolded when the investigator's trail looped back to the hirelings. They unearthed not your secrets, but a web of lies spun by those who feared your growth. It wasn't your life marred by darkness, but theirs. The detective, hired to be your accuser, became the witness to their own guilt, a puppet unaware of the strings held by sinful hands. Divine strategy in the crucible of opposition. Every plot against you was rewritten by a higher narrative. Their schemes to bury you became foundations for your elevation, their attempts to dim your light only ignited a flame that burned brighter. Psalm 125 verse 2 whispers your reality: as the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people. You felt this protection not as a barrier, but as a strength that turns storms into stepping stones. The investigator watched, transfixed, as your losses birthed wisdom, your pain became purpose. Your life wasn't a series of random events but a sacred journey guided by invisible coordinates. They saw you forgive those who wounded you, love those who rejected you, and rise when the world counted you out, and realized this wasn't human endurance, but divine indwelling. The veiled greatness of chosen souls. Through the ages, the divine has hidden its champions in ordinary garb. Esther in the palace, Paul on the road to Damascus, Teresa in the convent, their greatness was veiled until the appointed moment. So too with you, your gifts were wrapped in mundane days, your purpose tucked into ordinary choices, until the universe held its breath for your revelation. The investigator couldn't see your divinity because they were looking for flaws. You are not bound by the limitations others impose. Your existence is a rebellion against the mundane, a declaration that the sacred dwells in the secular. When skeptics try to define you by their fears, they only reveal their own blindness, for your spirit resides in a realm where human judgment is irrelevant. Even those who come to discredit you leave transformed, touched by a presence that defies logic. Embracing your sacred inheritance. This is your call to awaken. You are not a coincidence, but a covenant. Your voice carries the authority of the ages, your touch heals not just bodies but souls, your presence shifts not just rooms but realities. When you walk in your purpose unapologetically, you become a bridge between heaven and earth, a channel for grace that reshapes everything it flows through. The world doesn't need you to explain, it needs you to exist. The investigator departed with a shattered worldview, their skepticism replaced by reverence. They thought they were solving a case, but they encountered a miracle. Your life isn't a problem to be solved, it's a mystery to be lived. So stand firm, chosen one. Your existence proves that no power on earth can overcome the divine within you, and every attempt to dim your light only reveals it as everlasting. Shall we delve into integrating meditative practices that embody this narrative, or explore theological dimensions like divine election and spiritual warfare?